At 300 hours deep in the GIUK Gap, a Russian sabotage unit locked onto the fiber-optic spine of Europe, preparing to sever a connection worth $10 trillion. They believed their ultra-quiet Yasen-M submarine made them untouchable ghosts. They were wrong. Unknown to the captain, a U.S. Navy Orca was hovering 10 feet above his hull, painting him for a NATO wolf pack that had been watching for hours. Like as trying to pickpocket Mike Tyson while he's awake. The Russian captain was seconds away from creating financial chaos, completely unaware that NATO sensors had already turned his secret mission into a live-fire targeting exercise. The hunt didn't start with a bang. It started with a digital handshake in the freezing absolute darkness of the Barents Sea exactly 48 hours prior. The Norwegian Navy had deployed the Hugin Superior into the blind spot of the Russian Northern Fleet. This isn't your average swimming robot. It is an autonomous underwater vehicle the size of a minivan, a masterpiece of Scandinavian engineering packed with Hisua's 1032 synthetic aperture sonar. This system is capable of imaging a dime on the seafloor from 300 meters up, creating a photographic-quality acoustic map of the seabed. It was loitering on battery power, drifting with the current silent as a grave waiting for a whisper. At 01:14 a.m., the Hugin's passive sensors spiked. The readings were subtle, barely distinguishing themselves from the background noise of the ocean, but the algorithms caught it. The Russian submarine Kazan had just spun up its KTP-6 nuclear reactor from idle to 40% power to begin its transit. To the human ear, even a trained sonar man, it was silence. To the Hugin's onboard processing unit, it was a thunderclap. The drone instantly logged the acoustic fingerprint, the specific frequency vibration of the Kazan's pump jet propulsor, and the faint rhythmic whine of its coolant pumps. Before the sub had even left Russian waters, the Hugin fired a burst transmission via Link 16 satellite uplink. The tag was set. But the Russians aren't amateurs. The Kazan is the apex predator of the Putin regime for a reason. Its flank array sensors, highly sensitive to electromagnetic fluctuations, picked up the faint electronic hum of the drone's electric motor as it transmitted. The Russian captain didn't hesitate. He identified the anomaly and ordered the deployment of a standard acoustic countermeasure. Think of it as throwing a high-intensity flashbang into a pitch-black room full of people wearing sensitive night vision goggles. The countermeasure device exploded with a wall of broadband white noise, saturating the water column with chaotic sound waves. For 10 agonizing minutes, the Hugin was effectively blind and deaf. Its delicate sensors were overwhelmed, its logic boards struggling to filter the massive interference. By the time the water cleared and the sensors reset, the Kazan was gone sprinting south toward the Atlantic at 28 knots, hidden by the thermal layers of the ocean. The Americans monitoring the feed remotely wanted to shoot, but the geopolitical stakes were razor thin. The rules of engagement were strict: do not fire unless fired upon. The Norwegian window had closed. The target was loose, but the baton was already being passed in a relay race the Russians didn't know they were running. Enter the French Navy. The FREM multi-mission frigate Aquitaine was waiting 200 miles south, drifting with its engines cold to minimize its own acoustic signature. They weren't there to fight, they were there to confuse. The French deployed their Captus 4 variable depth sonar, a towed array trailing kilometers behind the ship. But they did something ingenious. Instead of listening, they used the array to project sound. They broadcasted a continuous loop of low-frequency clicks oscillating between 1 and 10 kilohertz. To a casual listener or a standard computer filter, it sounded like static or biological noise. To the Kazan's sonar operators, it sounded exactly, and I mean exactly, like a pod of mating pilot whales. It was an audio deepfake. A ghostly wall of biological noise designed to mask the sound of NATO ships maneuvering nearby, and more importantly, to herd the Russian sub into a narrow corridor at 2,000 meters depth. The French were building a funnel made of sound. But here is where the tech war gets dirty. The Kazan utilizes the MGK-600 Irtish sonar suite, a system that uses advanced AI and neural networks to analyze sound patterns. The computer flagged the whales as artificial. They were too regular, the intervals too perfect, lacking the chaotic randomness of nature. The Russian spy ship Yantar, operating in tandem with the sub as a surface support unit, made a brutal countermove. It deployed a remote-operated vehicle equipped with heavy-duty hydraulic cutters. It didn't attack the ship, it attacked the sensor. Navigating through the pitch black, the Russian ROV located the French towed array cable. With a single hydraulic crunch, it severed the connection. On the NATO screens, the French wall didn't just fade, it shattered. The holographic trap dissolved instantly. On the Link 16 network, the data stream turned into chaos. The British and Americans started arguing over the encrypted comms channels. The French are compromised. We are losing the track. It looked like the Russians had won the round. They had blinded the surveillance and broken the net. But in their arrogance, thinking they had outsmarted the trap, they walked right into the kill box. While the French were getting their gear cut, the HMS Ambush, an Astute-class hunter-killer submarine, was slipping into position. If the Kazan is a black hole, the Ambush is a ghost. The British captain didn't run from the chaos. He used it as cover. He activated the sub's noisemaker, a specialized acoustic jamming and mimicry system. But he didn't jam the Russians with noise, he mimicked them. He broadcasted the distinct clanking rhythmic acoustic signature of an old noisy Russian Kilo-class diesel submarine. Inside the Kazan, the sonar operator froze. His screen showed a friendly Russian unit directly in his path, operating at a slow speed. Confused, the Russian captain ordered a rapid deceleration to avoid a collision with his own ally. Why is a Kilo operating here without clearance? He must have wondered. That hesitation cost him exactly 50 kilometers of distance. He slowed down for a phantom. He had been catfished by a billion-dollar British submarine. Realizing they were being toyed with and that the Kilo was a phantom, the Russians escalated. A real Kilo-class sub lurking deeper in the Baltic theater, but coordinated with the operation, fired a Kalibr cruise missile. This wasn't a drill. The missile breached the surface, its booster shedding as the turbojet engine kicked in. It screamed over the waves at Mach 0.8, passing just 500 meters off the bridge of the French frigate Aquitaine. It was a supersonic haircut, a shockwave designed to shatter windows and nerves. It was a message sent in high explosives, back off or the next one doesn't miss. The Link 16 network lit up red with missile launch warnings. The Norwegian commander shouted, "Engage the Kilo Vampire inbound." The American admiral intervened, his voice cutting through the panic. "Hold fire, maintain ROE. It's a warning shot." The British captain just smiled and kept his lock. The Russians had blinked. By firing that warning shot, they proved they were scared. They had lost control of the situation and resorted to brute force. The Kalibr stunt bought the Russians 4 minutes of distraction. It was 4 minutes too many. While everyone was watching the missile trajectory, the heavyweight entered the ring. The USS New Hampshire, a Virginia Block 4 submarine, slipped into the blind spot directly behind the Yantar. The Block 4 isn't just a submarine, it's a floating data center wrapped in anechoic rubber. Its large aperture bow array wasn't pinging, it was inhaling acoustic data. It was building a 3D model of the Russian operation so precise the captain could probably tell what brand of cigarettes the Russian sonar man was smoking by the rate of his heartbeat. But the New Hampshire wasn't working alone. Overhead, a P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft banked hard at 500 feet, skimming the wave tops. The crew wasn't dropping sonobuoys this time. They flipped the switch on a specialized LiDAR system using blue-green lasers. Unlike radar, which bounces off water, this specific light frequency punches right through the first 100 meters of the ocean surface. To the Yantar's optical sensors, it looked like a strobe light from heaven. To the P-8 crew, the Russian ship and its tethered submersible lit up like a barcode at a grocery checkout. They could see the umbilical cable stretching down into the darkness. Desperate to complete the mission, the Yantar's pilot shoved the ROV manipulator arm into the seabed, making physical contact with the fiber-optic cable. For a split second, internet traffic across the Atlantic dipped by 5%, a localized digital heart attack. Automated trading bots in New York and London froze. Moscow had their finger on the trigger of the global economy. The Kazan reacted instantly to the laser threat from the P-8, ejecting a high-end heavy decoy. This device is designed to scream, move, and vibrate exactly like a nuclear submarine to fool torpedoes. In 1990, this would have worked. In 2025, the P-8's onboard AI analyzed the decoy's trajectory against the laws of physics. It calculated mass inertia and drag coefficient in real time. It flagged the object as anomaly because it accelerated faster than a 13,000-ton vessel possibly could without cavitating. The AI filtered it out of the tactical picture in 0.4 seconds. It's like a spam filter for torpedoes. The decoy sprinted left. The American crosshairs stayed locked on the right. The Link 16 network flashed a single word across American, British, and Norwegian screens: trapped. The Yantar was pinned against the cable, unable to move without ripping it and starting a war. The Kazan was bracketed by a Virginia-class sub below and a P-8 Hunter above. The hammer and anvil strategy was complete. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and no way to fight without dying. Inside the Kazan, the VLF receiver chattered to life. It wasn't an order to attack. It was a frantic, encoded message from Moscow: "Abort, you are burned, disengage immediately." The Kazan flooded its ballast tanks and initiated a crazy Ivan, a sudden violent turn to clear its baffles and check for trackers one last time. It was a retreat disguised as a maneuver. The Yantar hauled its ROV back up the manipulator arm empty. The 5% disruption vanished as the physical contact with the cable was broken, but NATO wasn't done. As the Kazan tried to limp away into the deep Atlantic, the USS New Hampshire stayed right on its 6 o'clock, matching every turn, every depth change for 400 miles. It wasn't just tracking, it was an escort. The message was brutal and clear. You don't leave when you want to, you leave when we let you. The Russians came to cut a wire. Instead, they got a masterclass in modern anti-submarine warfare. They learned that in the age of AI and sensor fusion, there is no such thing as a hiding spot in the GIUK Gap. So the Russians are running home with their tails between their legs. But the real story is how NATO pulled this off without firing a single torpedo. It wasn't magic, it was signature management and data fusion. This is the Link 16 DREAP fusion we talk about. 4 nations, 4 different sensor types, all feeding into one common operational picture. The Norwegian drone provided the initial acoustic ID. The French frigate provided the herding mechanism. The British sub provided the deception. The American assets provided the kill box lock. The Russian captain thought he was fighting a ship. He was fighting a distributed cloud server. It's about hybrid warfare, targeting the underwater cables that carry 97% of the world's data and financial transactions. They want to hold the global economy hostage to have the ability to turn off the internet or crash the stock market with a pair of hydraulic cutters. If conflict breaks out, which scenario do you fear more? Comment 1 if you fear internet and economic downfall, or 2 if you fear bomb and missile rain. Let's see which team is bigger, the losing money team or the losing lives team. This is Navy Vector. If you enjoyed watching a high-tech game of cat and mouse beneath the waves, smash that like button and subscribe. We decode the tech so you don't have to. Until next time, stay sharp. Out.